organizing is not the whole union at the same time altogether. That's not how this works. Okay? And I just want to be very clear about it, because organizing is about doing something in a chunk, in a particular space, and doing it well. Okay? So organizing is not happening everywhere right now. In fact, organizing is happening minimally in some of your unions as experiments in Germany. In the United States, organizing, again, because we don't have the framework that you do, that anybody can organize whenever you want, but we have to win a majority, la 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 la. Most of our practice comes from choosing, doing research of the industry and looking at where is the jugular, where is the Achilles, where is the liver, okay? And then saying, that's where we're going to organize. And we're going to start organizing 90% density in this little chunk. And then in this little chunk, and then in this little chunk, and then we're going to connect these chunks. And then we're going to go after the second layer. Does that make sense? So organizing in that sense is it's not about numbers only, but it's about the structure and the power in one space. So what would I say is that I think it's important that workers organize themselves, but the point is also to have something that aggregates and coordinates and makes cohesive, hopefully, a union that has a very good, clear idea of how that industry is laid out, how capital has organized that industry to make profits. How do we understand it, and how do we go after their most profitable spaces to leverage, right, the power to be able to organize more? Does that make sense? So, I just want to discuss that one thing is the political, and another thing is the practical. And the practical for us is a very focused approach in how we're going to do it. So, in Frankfurt, we wouldn't assume that we can organize everything. We would go from the biggest, most important buildings to the less important buildings, and we would try to do the best job in the big ones first. So this is why organizing might not be coming to you, and it might not come to you for a long time. Because where we're doing it, we're trying to be laser sharp focused. Okay? So we have to be very congruent. In a way, do it right so they can grow. Because if everybody does it not right, then it's not organizing, it's not sustainable, it's a lot of disappointment because the union hasn't lined up to what workers actually need to do, because that's not the practice yet, right? So I would say that that's one thing. The second thing, that's a hard one. Maybe you should answer it. I'm a diplomat. I'm a visitor. No, I think our experiences with works councils have been mixed. Because works councils are not a monolithic group. So in a works council, you're going to have people that are very conservative and more cautious and maybe close to the boss. And in that sense, works and not because they're close to the boss just because, but because the boss has the power. The workers don't. So people are too smart, They're not going to just fight you when they're on their own or they have very little support. So this is not because they're allowed. No. That's how power lies. If the power is here, people gravitate towards that. So that's why we have to create other power to be able to have a balance of power, right? So in works councils, you also have extremely progressive people that would be sitting here. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things about work councils is that we have to really need to look and map them out and figure out how do we work with the people that want to. How do we explain what organizing is so even the most kind of conservative of them, right, can imagine this being helpful. And works councils are also not all union members, as you know. There is plenty of people from other unions that are not necessarily ours, the ones I'm working with, and then there is also people that don't like the unions or have been put there by the employers. And in my case, in security, in cleaning, because we don't have a lot of power, our works councils are not very powerful and are not representing everybody. And it's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, no? Because you're very weak then you get weak works councils. Because you get weak works councils, you get weak workplaces because they're not organizing them. So I would say that the works councils, just like any committee, it's a vehicle that you have to think about, map out, have a conversation with them to figure out who is going to work with you, who's not going to work with you. But when we were doing the campaign in security in Hamburg, the security workers here, right, were fighting the biggest security company in Hamburg. It's called Power in English. And the bastards didn't have a work council. They were totally fucking anti-union. And they were just evil motherfuckers. Period. Sacking leaders, creating fear, doing captive audience meeting. It was like I was in the United States. It was insane, Full-on union busting campaign going on against the workers who were organized. So we went to some clients, in particular the publishing sector, okay, barely members. And in the publishing houses and magazine houses, Spiegel, we were able to contact the works councils there and convince them to help us pressure the security company that they were hiring to create a works council. And those works councils from here put the pressure on the company to create a works council. And they said, if you don't have a works council, you will not have this contract, because we will only work with companies that have works councils. These were leftist works councils that help people create a works council. So my point is that works councils can be excellent, or they can be very weak. And somewhere in the middle, every works council lies, and we as organizers have to know that. That's why we map, and we assess, and then we see what we can do. Okay, so, but when they're against organizing, or when they're against working taking power, because then they will be most likely voted out if they haven't done a very good job, or they haven't organized their people enough, then it's a very ugly thing, because there is a lot of power struggles going on when we organize, because we're also creating a new layer of workers that are stepping up, that are hopefully organic leaders, that have the respect of other people. And of course, when we bring a new wave of workers that are empowered and clear and organized and have a plan and the kind of given structures obviously get nervous. And these frictions are part of the change. I would just say they're part of the change, and the idea is to identify if the friction is necessary or if it's not. And how do we organize works councils to want to organize? And if they don't, then that's a conversation that workers need to have about what to do with structures that are not necessarily in favor of, I would argue, the common goal or the common cause. But this is something that in the United States we do not have. So for me, it's been a pretty challenging thing in Germany, understanding how these structures could be organizing machines, and how they're also used to co-opt and placate workers and represent them, so as if the workers wouldn't organize themselves. So this is the contradiction or the tension. And as good organizers, we just need to kind of roll with the punches, and just be able to hopefully create the environment in which these works councils understand this is better for them, because if they organize, they will be stronger, they will be able to negotiate better contracts, and then obviously workers will support them. If they're smart, they'll say, I'm going to get on this. I'm going to be one of the organizers. I'm going to change it. I'm going to win, and then I will be a good works council that people really like me and vote me in. But when works councils don't see that possibility, they get very nervous that they're going to fight, and then they're going to be in shit with the boss when there is no power in the workplace. This is a very risky thing for leaders to stick their neck out like trees and be chopped off. Yeah. It's true. I mean, and they take a lot of risks, works council people, and so we have to understand that too. It's not just like, they have dynamics that we need to help them think through in order to be better works councils. Yeah. Okay, now.
Danke. Dann